Now feel. From this stillness, your body begins to recalibrate. Breath deepens. Energy reorganizes. Cells receive new instructions. You are not repairing yourself. Life is restoring itself through you. Let this happen. Do nothing. Now silently affirm, I release what I am not. I return to what I am. Feel the shift. Now sense a new state emerging. Not imagined, not forced. Natural. Clarity. Lightness. Stability. Vitality. This is not something you gain. It is what remains when distortion is removed. Now silently affirm, I am clear. I am aligned. I am life expressing itself. Now understand, you are not here to control life. You are here to align with it. The intelligence that formed you knows how to move you. Trust the current. No force, no resistance, just precision. Now gently bring awareness back to the body. Feel your breath. Feel your chest. Feel your hands and your feet, but remain connected to the stillness within. Now affirm slowly. Life is alive through me and as me. I am renewed in every moment. I am not separate from creation. I am creation aware of itself. Sit in stillness. No effort. No seeking. Just being. Take a deep breath in. And out fully. And so we say together. And so it is. Amen. Success.
I don't know, but I feel like doing this for the one three of us. As many as I will in the next 5 to 7 minutes. Share with us something remarkable, something amazing, something refreshing, something impactful, something praiseworthy that has happened in your life over the course of the week. Anyone who feels that. Anyone at all. Is anyone taking it? You need encouragement to see the good that is happening as you. You need encouragement to identify the wisdom, the knowledge, the beauty, the magnificence that is evolving as your life. Anyone?
Sorry, I'm trying to sort out my computer. I didn't hear what you said.
It's okay, can you tell her?
In short, it's testimony time. Anything that's happened to you over the course of the week that you want to share with us, the amazing thing, wonderful thing that you want to share too. Back in the day, say boost our faith.
Ever said that?
Is it as a back in the days? If you hear somebody's testimony now, your faith goes, your faith increases.
You want to talk? Right. Spend 5 minutes waiting for you to think about how good life has been to you. Samuel Joshua. Or should I just carry on?
You ask if there's anything good that's happened this week.
The good that you want to celebrate happening as your life.
Do I have anything on me right now I can say? So,
So nothing good is happening in your life that's worth celebrating.
Because
Now feel.
I think we should just close the service.
Why?
Eh?
Yes, I believe that there is for
We
us.
should close the service. We should close the service, and when we eventually identify some good happening in our life, we can continue with this.
For us in this household, we know. It's not that we believe, we know. And I, for one, can testify that life is having its best version as me. Because of the week, this week was this Spencer I was having a chat with, and he even brought it up, and we were laughing about it, and I said, "Hey, Charlie, you see that moment that you pause and say, thank God." There's you just from the bottom of it, you just say thank God that it happened the way it happened, or it happened the time that it happened. Maybe to some it might not be so good of a news, but to me, it's the best thing that can ever happen to me. When I heard that my grandfather passed, I was speaking to Spencer in the course of the week, and Spencer said, "Hey, Charlie, we be quick." And I said, "Yeah, I'll go." Well, grandfather, you know that I'm the first grandson, and I bear the two sons he has, nobody has got anymore. I'm the first grandson to have the anymore. So I represent him, Mikudina. And he made a statement and said, "Hey, I have to wait Marco Ghana, so you will go." And I just shook my head and I said, "Thank God." I remember like 12 years ago when I came to this country, my number one prayer was for my grandparents to be alive till I could go back home. And you know the situation. And through thick and thin, many illnesses, many sickness, my mom will call me, "Oh, boy, he's sick, he's at the verge of dying." I tell her he won't die. Last 2 weeks, my mom called me and she said, "Oh, my grandfather is seriously sick and at the verge of dying." I just smiled and said, "Well, he's old. If he wants to die, I know I've stayed with him most part of my life, and I know he would want to go. So let him go." And he went, and I called my grandma, my mom, and they were all, I won't say happy, but they were okay. Surprisingly, my grandmother, she called me yesterday and she was laughing. She said, "Hey, Kwaku," she said, "I can't even come." And I said, "No, I can't come." My mom is there. We are all here and we're laughing about it. And those are the simple things that when you get to the state that you get to, you know that you are blessed. To me, it's a blessing that though a life on earth is lost, you might not see the person again, but the joy it brings to me, the joy it brings to the family is just an amazing. So I thank life, I thank God that it has happened in this manner, it has happened at this time. I can only be grateful to life. I can only be grateful to God. Yeah.
Thank you. Any more?
Sorry, my internet is just playing up here.
Excuses.
So
You go.
anyway, I think most of the time when these questions are asked, we want to look for big things like, money, my account, 1 million, this one happened, that one, something spectacular. Ignoring the basic things that really make up life every day, which money cannot buy. And I agree with Pastor K saying with what he's saying, we're just grateful for everything. I remember a few years ago, someone was preaching and he said that at the hospital, there was someone at the hospital who needed oxygen, and and it cost £3,000 a week. The mere fact that life breathes us, and you're not even able, we allow life to breathe us, and we breathe life. That alone is it's good news. That you can wake up and eat is good news. You can even sleep, because some people can't sleep. They need to take medicine, like 100 tablets. So these when things like this, we listen. If you hear, we kind of remember the basic things of life that makes life beautiful. So yeah, I'm grateful for the little things, the amazing things that not saying anything, but is everything.
Bless God. Often in life, the things we take for granted. And it's not enough spinning words around. I'm even, I've come to a point now, I'm even moving beyond gratitude. And I'll explain what that means in coming months. Explain what that means in coming months. And it all makes sense. Yeah, I'm grateful for the wisdom, the flow that continues to find expression as my life. In the last few weeks, we have been looking at a series. We have been on a series breaking the script. That dovetails into a flow without force, which, when I look at it, it appears is going to be at least a 5-part series. But I will aim to, no, in fact, when I looked at it, I think I could identify about 10 distinct sessions, which I will try to fit into 6, 7, best I can, no rush. For today, for the opening, we are looking at the sacred law of balance and why life appears to resist it. I'm not sure when we hear balance, when we hear balance, what comes to our mind? What comes to your mind when you hear balance? You hear balance, what comes to your mind? You know at all. We don't have forever to get this moving, so let's move. When you hear balance, what comes to mind? You know at all. When you hear balance, what comes to mind? Samuel?
Hello.
Yeah, when you hear balance, what comes to mind?
Balance. It's equal and opposites, really.
Okay. So when you hear balance, equal and opposites comes to mind. Okay, I love that. Joshua?
Uh, mm. When balance, I think about when it's like two things are equal, two things work together. Like,
Harmony?
yeah.
So everything in nature seeks a balance. True or true? Is a question. Would you agree that everything in nature seeks balance? Would you agree? And would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Because where there is a difference in temperature, for instance, there will be movement. We look at thermodynamics. So all of life is striving for the attainment of balance. So whenever there's strive, it's because balance is seeking attainment. So where there's a difference in temperature, as I was saying earlier, there will be movement. If pressure builds up, wind will begin to shift and wind travels when pressure builds up. And when there is a buildup of heat, there's bound to be heat transfer, heat exchange. When water rises, it's in search of its level, isn't it? Into our floods. So whenever a system is disturbed, the forces that manage or control that system arise or they emerge to restore equilibrium. So all of life is constantly trying to maintain equilibrium. And that's nothing to be taken personal. That is not punishment. Looking at the floods, for instance, that happened annually across Accra. It's life seeking its equilibrium. All the abuse that we introduce to the system, or the disorder that we introduce to the system, life, the environment, nature, whatever you want to call it, will seek its balance. It is just a law. And I want us to look at this beyond just a spiritual lesson. it's more mystical than ordinary. And I want us to give it some attention and observe the sacredness of why the whole world, the entire universe, the entire cosmos is constantly correcting the imbalance that we introduce to it as a result of our negligence, as a result of our exertions, as a result of our disrespect. So nature doesn't ask whether imbalance is good or bad, or whether it doesn't ask. It simply responds whenever there is imbalance. When there is dis-ease, which is imbalance in a system, our bodies go into a mode to address the imbalance or to address the disease, which sometimes may come with it putting you down so that you can rest from the abuse you've given it, or giving you indicators of what requires attention in order to restore it to balance. So all of life is constantly in search of balance. So wherever excess potential appears, balance forces will arise to neutralize it. Are you with me? So this law of balance doesn't just operate, like for instance, gravity. It doesn't just operate in the atmosphere, it doesn't operate in tides or storms, it doesn't just operate in physical pressure or in the visible movements of nature, like tsunamis, volcanoes, earthquakes, and all of that. It is also operational in the visible field of human thought. So within us, because we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. The law is it's present in our emotions, in our desires, in our fear, in our judgments, in our attachments, and in our attention, as we've been talking about attention a lot, even in our discussion this morning, and in the things we consider important. So in other words, we can say that our inner lives, our lives as well, is a constant creation of its own environment. So, for instance, a particular thought pattern can become pressure. Fear can become gravity. Fear can pull you in one direction and introduce imbalance. A particular desire can become a storm in your life. Our obsessions with how things ought to be, our obsessions with objects, they all create energetic imbalance. Even how we judge ourselves, how we judge others, how we judge situations and circumstances can become a force, the very forces which turn back on the one who is doing the judgment, which might be yourself in this instance. And how sometimes we overly esteem certain things, certain objects, certain people, an inflated importance can recruit or summon forces or circumstances that reduces it so that balance can be established. And that's why the scriptures say that on unbalanced scale is an abomination. So this is what we refer to as the sacred law of balance. And if we do not understand this law, we may spend our lives calling the corrections that life brings as attacks, or referring to the imbalance as destiny. And when, let's say, for instance, we experience circumstances or situations that we consider to be, in quotes, bad luck, we are oblivious of the fact that it's just a law at work. And life is intelligent. I've said this a few times. The world is not reacting to what you want. The world and life doesn't revolve around your expectations, your aspirations. It doesn't revolve around your wishes or your preferences. But it's constantly responding to what we make heavy. And I think that's why I'm desiring that we focus as we enter into this series over the next 10 weeks. And the leading question is not how do I force life to give me what I want? Not how do I defeat the obstacles in my life? Not even about how you manifest faster. You know my position when it comes to manifestation, because I believe that all is within, and we radiate, we project, we bring out the good that is in us. We project it out, and then life mirrors it and gives us back the reflection. But engaging a much deeper question, looking at our lives and asking the questions, where have I created excess potential by giving something more important than it truly carries in the order of my life? This is something that I have been keen about for a few years. And I want us to pause with that question. Where have you made a relationship, for instance, too heavy? Where have you made, how have you made work as final? What is the importance you've placed or you've attached to money that is weighing and tilting the scales and creating imbalance in your own system? Have you made money your safety? Our obsession with what people think about us, how people see us, how people perceive us, the kind of image we have out there, the reputation we hold, and how we want to be esteemed. Have you made your desire or your obsession for approval, have you made it your oxygen? Have you made failure or obstacles or challenges that come your way, have you made them death sentences? Where has your desire or the desire that life gives you, where has it turned? In what areas has it turned into desperation? That you murdering yourself with something that is supposed to bless you? In which areas have you made your fears, your anxiety, have you turned them into prophecies that you're fulfilling? Because according to the law of balance, the issue is not simply what we desire, or what we care, or what we love, what we work, what we plan, or even what we pursue. These things are natural. The imbalance begins when we add excessive weight, inner weight, to them that is not required. So I'll give you an example to bring it to put in perspectives. There's nothing wrong with standing on the floor of your house. In the same way, there's nothing wrong with standing on the edge of a precipice, or standing on the edge of a cliff, for instance. Nothing wrong with it. But in one situation, Standing in your living room, for instance, the floor of your living room, the mind is calm. And in the other, standing on the edge of a cliff, the mind charges that particular moment or that particular situation with danger, with consequence, with fear. The truth of the matter is, physically, you are still standing. It's the same thing. But energetically, you have loaded the situation with your fear, with your anxiety, with your worries, and with your attachments to danger. Bear that analogy in your mind, and it's going to become apparent as we progress through this series. Because this is how excessive potential or excess potential is born. When I'm talking about potential here, think physics. Okay. Because the object itself may not be the problem, but the meaning we attach to it is what becomes the pressure. We're having this chat yesterday, Hammer. The object is neutral, the situation is neutral, the meaning we attach to it is what becomes the problem, it's what becomes the pressure, it's what becomes the challenge. And this is why I believe life for many sometimes feels heavier than it needs to be. So we are not only carrying events or situations or circumstances, but we are carrying the exaggerated importance we have placed upon the events themselves. Are you with me to this point? And once the importance we attach to things becomes excessive, it throws situations and events out of balance. And then it causes balance forces to now begin to move to restore equilibrium. Sometimes they may move through delay, they may move through frustration, they may move through fatigue, burnout, they may move through fuzziness, loss of clarity, they might even move through conflict. You look at conflict around the world, and they may move through like strange reversals where the very thing we chase begins to move away from us. I've talked about this over the years a lot of times. How anxiety causes the very things we desire to shift and move away from us. And that's not because life hates us. That's not because the universe is unkind or crazy. It's not because God has abandoned us. It's not because the universe is cruel. It's not. But it's because, think about what I said earlier, imbalance always seeks correction. An unbalanced scale is an abomination. So that's why our path is what it is. Sacred flow. It's not the path of force. It's not passive and it's not careless. It's the art of moving without creating unnecessary pressure in the quantum field, and creating unnecessary pressure in the field or in the sphere of life. It's the act of caring without worrying, desiring without any clinging, working and putting your genius to action without worshiping work, loving without possession. I've talked about this over and again. Acting, taking action without panic, praying without desperation, making choices without making the outcome the source of your identity, breaking our addictions to how we think life should turn out or life should pan out. And this is what we're going to spend the next 10 weeks looking into deeper. That is the beginning, in my opinion, of flowing our thoughts. The revelation is very simple. Force creates friction. Remember that. Force creates friction. Excessive importance creates imbalance, and then balance will have to restore flow. This is not theory. It is not an abstract idea, but a living principle that governs the movement between consciousness and reality. You with me? Okay. So I want us to give ourselves the permission to take this to heart and see how we evolve with it. You know, there are moments in life when I've come to this realization where the very thing we call determination becomes disguised as desperation. Where we are praying, but the subtle undertones of our prayer is just panic and anxiety wearing a holy language and a holy tag. Where ambition and our drive for attainment is just our fear and our fear of lack dressed as being productive. Our fear as being tagged as destitute dressed as being productive. Moments where love, care, ministry, you know, as you call it, work, family, and even spiritual devotion becomes so heavy in the soul that instead of producing peace, they produce pressure, they produce anxiety. And I'm very, very hot on this. And those are the things I want us to begin to unpack. As I said, the question is not how do I get what I want? Or how do I, manifest my desired reality, for instance. But a more powerful, a more dangerous, and even a liberating question. Why does life resist me when I am trying so hard? Pause for that. Why does the door appear sometimes to move further away the harder we push? Why does a relationship become more strained the more we try to control it? Why does a dream, for instance, become heavier the more we convince ourselves we cannot live without it? In the area of our work, why does the work we once loved begin to drain us when we make it the center of our identity? Why does our fears appear to follow us? Why do the things we worship, we adore, we esteem, we cherish, we value, why do they appear sometimes to slip out of our hand? Beneath all of this is the sacred law of balance. As I've said, it's not punishment, it's not life being cruel, it's not God withholding. God does not withhold from anyone. God doesn't keep away from us. Neither is it the universe mocking our effort. The law. Once you understand how the law works, you can use it to your own benefit and to your advantage. I cannot overly emphasize the fact that everything, as I said before, it might sound repetitive, but it's for a reason, so that it stays and sticks in. Everything in nature seeks equilibrium. Remember that. So when the scientists among us tell me, how is wind created? How does wind move? Just quickly, just tell me, come on. How do we experience wind? Yes, quick.
The air tries to move from high pressure to low pressure.
Come again?
The air tries to move from an area of high pressure to low pressure.
Okay, so it's the movement from high pressure area to low pressure, which is caused by what? Temperature, isn't it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Caused by temperature. So when heat gathers in one place and cold in another place, wind begins to move to establish equilibrium. When pressure builds up, release becomes inevitable. When water is blocked, it rises, or it finds another route. Flat. I just can't get away from it. When water is blocked, that's what it does. It will either rise, it will find another route, or it will break the boundaries. That's the reason for the floods. Getting in the way of water. When the body overheats, it sweats to cool itself down. All of life is in an attainment or is striving for equilibrium. And when the soul, in particular, is burdened by false importance, false impressions of itself, life begins to correct that imbalance. This is beyond physics. It's metaphysics. It's psychology. It's a spiritual law. It's a very simple teaching, but it's not in any way small. All of life striving for equilibrium. Remember that. Force creates friction. We know that. And alignment creates what creates flow. All of Wi-Fi is about flow. So everything we talk about is flow. To hear that slowly, force creates friction, alignment creates flow. So often, a lot of us feel that maybe our lives are experiencing blockages because we aren't applying enough force. So we push harder, try harder, pray harder. But doing this not from a place of trust, but from a place of anxiety. Not from a place of purposefulness, but from a place of feeling empty, feeling the feeling of being nothing. So we try to laugh harder, we try to care more. Not from a place of freedom, but in an attempt to preserve. Everything we're doing is about trying to do it harder, think harder, plan harder, control harder, pray some more, explain harder, defend harder. But we need to understand that the soul does not awaken through pressure. The soul does not awaken through stress. The soul does not awaken through strain. Keep alive does not open because the ego is shouting at the door. No, it doesn't. Your higher self doesn't respond to the screams of your ego. It's a way of moving through life that is not passive, but peaceful. And that is the way your higher self is constantly beckoning you to. That's the way your higher self is constantly calling you to. A way of desiring that has got absolutely no desperation in it. A way of working, enjoying what you do that is not slavery. I'm grateful that I found that zone. A way of loving that doesn't strive to possess. A way of praying that doesn't beg. A way of becoming. Oh, I love this one. That does not require violence against yourself and unnecessary self-judgment. And this is what I call sacred balance. And it's the foundation of these teachings. So I asked earlier on, what does balance mean to us? Samuel talked about opposites. It's very true. Joshua said something similar. Balance for me means proportionality, right relationship. You know, when a part of life where no one part of your life is allowed to become a parent over the rest of your life. Our bodies understand this. If you are eating constantly without rest, your body will protest. If you rest excessively without movement, your body will protect. Your body will become stagnant. If you work without recovery, like some of us, the body begins to send you signals: headaches, exhaustions, irritability, sickness, fuzziness, vagueness in the head, depression, sometimes numbness, persistent for extensive hours. These are not your enemies. They are messengers suggesting to you that there is imbalance that requires addressing. Not only that the words, not only does the body understand this, the mind also understands. If your thoughts are constantly fixed on one problem, that problem expands in your awareness until it becomes your world. The issue may be small, but the more attention we give to it, the bigger it becomes. Attention magnifies whatever it attacks or whatever it addresses. There's no getting away from this. That's how conversations turn into crisis. Misdirected attention. Delays become rejections. And then a mistake becomes your identity. Misdirected attention is what makes the silence of someone feel like abandonment to another person, or a mere disagreement feel and seem like betrayal. So we looked at the body, we looked at the mind, we look at spirit. Spirit also understands this. When something receives too much importance in consciousness, it begins to carry a weight that is not designed to carry. and you let go of the idea of putting the historical Christ on a pedestal, the awareness of the Christ you, holy man. See? When your job stops being the proof of your worth, when your salary stops being the proof of your worth, or it stops being the value you put on yourself. Where a relationship shifts from being companionship, but then becomes a proof that you are lovable. Where money becomes, or where money stops being just a tool, but a proof of your safety. Excess potential. Your obsession with being appreciated, your obsession with recognition, your obsession with approval. Where this thing we do that we call ministry goes beyond being service, goes beyond being something we're using to achieve and attain importance amongst men. When it stops being a symbol or a sign that, a proof that, God is with me and I'm more anointed and all that bollocks. I say this with all humility. The moment any idea, any concept becomes the foundation of your being, it becomes dangerous. Not because that thing is bad, but because you would have given it the weight of God or the weight of life itself. Balance forces will correct it, because imbalance would have been created. In this series, I want us to sit with this one word: importance. What do I make important in my life? What do I make important in my life? What do I make important in my life? What importance do I give to everything, that every moment you go through life? Just ask yourself that question. This is happening, that is appearing. What importance am I giving? And be a dispassionate judge. Understand that importance is not the same as value. Let me just put this out there. Something may be valuable without being spiritually heavy. Family is valuable. I value family. My work is valuable. Health is valuable. What I've come to identify as my purpose is valuable. Money is useful. Love is sacred. Vision is necessary. It's vital. But importance becomes excessive where your inner world begins to say things like this: that if this doesn't happen, I'm doomed. If this fails, I am finished. If they leave me, I am nothing. If I do not achieve this, my life has no meaning. If they misunderstand me, I must prove myself. My reputation has been dented. I must correct it. If this thing doesn't happen or it's not happening, it means life has abandoned me or God has forsaken me. If I lose this, I lose myself. That is no longer valid. That is bondage. And excess importance is when the mind inflates something beyond its true place in the order of your life. Anything we attach more importance to than it really deserves becomes bondage. It loses value. It's like placing a small stone on a scale and imagining it's a mountain. And as a result of that, the stone, you want the scale to react to your impression that is a mountain that has been placed on. Not because the stone is truly heavy, but because you think it's heavy, you want the scale to react. That is madness. Because my consciousness or my conscience has loaded this thing with weight, the scale should react accordingly. That is madness. You're charging it with your fear, with your pressure, with your desperation, with your misperceived identity, with your worship. But sadly, we begin to do that, and sometimes what does life do? Life begins to respond to the charge. And that's why sometimes things become hard in our lives, because we overly attach importance to it and we cling to it. Because a clinging, I've said this over and again, creates disturbance. We've talked about it in the context of relationship. But our obsession creates pressure. When pressure is created, it also creates distortion. And when there is distortion, what is bound to happen? There's going to be resistance. Joshua, you play the guitar and you probably agree with me on this. Let's say, okay, think of someone holding a violin, okay?
Yeah.
If the finger is too loose, what happens?
Doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. There's no clarity. But if the finger is also too tense, what happens?
Hard to drum and it doesn't sound good either. It's hard to use and also doesn't sound good.
Exactly. So if the finger is too loose on the strings, or someone playing a violin, same as playing a guitar, if the finger is too loose, there's no clarity. And if the finger is too tense too, the music becomes strained and harder to listen. So the beauty doesn't come from the collapse or the easiness, neither does it come from the force that is applied. It comes from the right balance. Or which in music we can call it attunement, isn't it? That's when you're tuned to it, isn't it? You play the guitar, so you know this.
Yeah.
And the soul is like that. Too loose and it drifts, too tight and it gets distorted. When the soul is in balance, it becomes music, sacred flow. So let's take this deeper. Whilst I think I'll probably make this point and maybe we'll wrap up. In the visible world, imbalance creates movement. We have already established that. Pressure creates wind, temperature disparity creates wind as well. Gravity creates return. Every tension is seeking a release. The sea rises and falls. It doesn't rise permanently. The day gives way to the night. The inhale is answered by the exhale, or the exhale responds to the inhale. So no one season is allowed to dominate forever. That's why it's important for us to look at life in that angle. That we don't give one thing excessive importance in our lives, overriding everything else. Balance forces will get in and establish the equilibrium that is required. There's no other way of explaining this, and I can't overly labor on that point. So in as much as in the conscious world, or in the visible world, as I said, all of life is in expectation, is in creation of an equilibrium. The invisible world is the same. Consciousness is always seeking balance. When the mind over-identifies with something, the deeper orders of life begins to loosen that identity or that identification. Talked about this, I've given you the glass analogy. If you walk into a loved one, they're holding something fragile that could drop off their hands. They're anxious about dropping that could drop off their hands and break. You will take it away from them to stop it from breaking. That is exactly how the universe and consciousness respond. In everything that we attach excessive importance to and we dread the worst happening to, life takes it away from us. If you're anxious about losing someone, you will lose them. So when the ego turns anything into an idol, life begins to reveal the instability of that idol. Have no gods besides me. And when our fear becomes excessive, when then circumstances often arise that expose the fear. When pride becomes inflated, a humbling experience will appear. Think about Nebuchadnezzar, which is a psychological drama. When guilt becomes very heavy on the heart, you will naturally look for punishments to justify the guilt. And life will give you that. When desire turns into desperation, the very thing we are desiring will move away from us because of our anxiety, I've already said. And this is not because life hates you, but because life is already, it's also in a constant ambition to drive us back into right relationship. This is a difficult truth, but it's just what is. Many of the disruptions in our lives we call attacks are sometimes just correction. The delays are sometimes protections and not denial. The disappointments we call failure are sometimes just liberation from the false importance we attach to them. I've said this. The question should never be, why is this happening to me? But what is this revealing in me? That's a different. That's a much deeper question. What have I made too heavy? What have I made too final? I was for final. What have I placed on the throne of my peace? What am I mistaking for my God? What am I mistaking for my source? I've said this previously, that wherever and whenever your peace depends entirely on an outcome, something should happen in order for you to feel and be at peace. You are no longer free. And that's what the sacred law of balance is always doing, constantly moving us towards freedom. Are we clear? Listen to the voice of imbalance and it will sound to you like responsible. The voice of imbalance, unfortunately, sometimes sounds quite spiritual. It sounds reasonable, it sounds sensible, but it sounds like that because beneath it are your fears. Beneath it are your inhibitions. So for instance, I cannot relax because if I relax, everything will fall apart. I have to think about this constantly. I have to control, I have to be in control of every single detail. I have to this, I have to that. I have to make sure they understand me. I need to guarantee this result. I need to guarantee this field. This thing has to look this particular way. I have to secure this result. I have to push because if I don't push, nothing will happen. I cannot afford peace right now. You know, I can be at peace once I have this breakthrough. All of these are deceptions, disguising as essence or important. So many of us, we do this disservice to ourselves. We postpone our peace as if peace is a reward for control. So when we only permit ourselves to be at peace when we feel that we got control of a circumstance, or when we feel that we feel a certain certainty in the perceived outcome. But peace is never a prize we get at the end of a fall. No, I've said this. Is the atmosphere from which right action becomes possible. And if your mind is already telling you that I cannot relax until this is resolved, basically what is done is it's already made the problem or the challenge greater than the presence within you. It's already bowed to the circumstance. It's already saying that this situation has more power, has more authority over my inner state. That becomes a matter of identification. But awareness will say something different. This matters. I say this, but it's not my master. I choose clear, distinct action. I will not abandon my center. I will not abandon my peace. I will bring the peace that I am to the circumstance, to the situation, to instant. I'm not addicted to this outcome. Neither am I turning it into any god. I'm not going to confuse pressure with power. The fact that something is appearing as an emergency doesn't mean it's vital. I can care deeply and still remain free. You know, and that to me is balance. See, and that ties in beautifully with the analogy that I gave earlier as I wrapped up. How standing in your living room, feet planted on the ground, your body in the balance, nothing dramatic is happening. Standing on the edge of a cliff, you're still standing. Your feet are on the ground, nothing dramatic is happening. The act of standing is the same. Psychologically, what we change on our inside, what charges the situation. So your mind is already telling you on the edge of the cliff that once I make a mistake, I am finished. Then your body tightens, the tension comes in, the imagination begins to create danger, it goes wild, things of all possible dangerous outcomes. And all of a sudden, you even feel a strange pull towards the edge while another part of you pulls you back. All of that is created. What changed? It's not the act of it's not the act that it's not the fact that you are standing, but the importance you attach to the different standing scenarios. Because in your mind, the cliff means consequence. This, unfortunately, is how many of us are living emotionally. You turn ordinary, everyday situations into cliffs. So a message that I haven't responded to in time becomes a cliff. A meeting that I haven't attended, that I haven't arranged, becomes a cliff. A bill that I haven't paid yet becomes a cliff. A social media post that I'm looking at becomes a cliff. Someone is just trying to, I've had a conversation with them and now they have taken social media. Meanwhile, what they're saying has got nothing to do with you. Family conversation, someone's action, even your prayer life. Failure. Oh, I haven't prayed enough. I haven't meditated enough. I haven't done this. I haven't fasted. I haven't done this. All of that becomes cliff that we begin to attach consequences to. So do we then now stand and wonder why we get pulled in contradictory direction? Pull to panic, the pull to want to take control, the pull to want to escape, the pull towards collapsing. So the conscious mind will ask themselves, is this truly a cliff, or has the mind made this one up? And this question alone can save you tons and tons of energy. Your soul cannot flow in peace when every moment of your life is treated like a precipice. It can't. Are there any questions? Next week we'll progress this further. We look at taking care without worrying and all of that. Said, engage with this series. I found a life changing. You know, I only share with you what I'm living. I'm not telling you this because I've heard someone say it and I'm also repeating it. No. Let this be founded on life principles. Any questions? Are there any questions? Okay. Let's get charged with our invocation for the month then. The month of our sacred descent. Infinite presence, breath of all life, ancient of days, and the beginningless beginning. As we are incubating in the month of July, we make a choice to turn from the noise of appearances to the silence of the eternal. We are absorbed in the what's called in the matter darkness. We are implanted into the holy depths where wisdom is born, where truth is remembered, where the soul is restored. May every restless thought become still. May every anxious heart find its center. May every false identity dissolve before the light of the infinite. Let everything that no longer serves our highest becoming fall with grace. And let only that which is remain and resolve in truth, rooted in truth, remain. Let the hidden wells of divine intelligence and wisdom open a verse. May the courage to know ourselves exceed the desire to merely appear successful. May the eternal presence recalibrate our minds, purify our motives, strengthen our spirits, and align our lives with the highest rhythm of love, wisdom, beauty, intelligence, and service. On the turn of this new moon, we choose depth over distraction, presence over performance, truth over illusion, and transformation over comfort. May every challenge become an initiation into greater consciousness. May every silence become a sanctuary of revelation. And every breath remind us that sacred life is here as us, expressing itself fluidly as our life. Invoke the light that no darkness can overcome, the wisdom that no confusion can silence, and the love that restores all things to their original place of harmony and flow. May our lives become living blessings to the earth and to everyone that crosses our path. We declare this month dedicated to the sacred work of inner transformation. So is this established, so shall it be. Amen. Ashe. So it is.
So it is.
Now, ye ancient orders, masters, divine entities who will call upon you, and he answered. Your work of transformation, perfection, and awakening is done. But we do not seek to disperse you. But he asked that you continue in your work with us until all of humanity comes to the awakening in consciousness about the divinity that garners our humanity. Then and only then will you have the lines to depart. But until then, live, move, praise, and give thanks to the very end. Now, from the place where God remains God as each and every one of us in all power, magnificence, and glory, I bless you. I bless you. And God bless you. Lord, my life is us.